death in the wilderness. Dear God, she did not deserve such a death in the wilderness. "Bastard!" she cried suddenly to the warrior who still held her by the waves of her hair. She kicked into his gut and groin with all of her strength, desperate to be freed from him, even if it would be for nothing more than the last few seconds in which she might draw breath. He gave out a cry, a furious cry of deep masculine pain, and to her relief and fleeting pleasure, his hand eased its death grip from her hair as he doubled over with pain. She tried to rise from the place where she had fallen against a cypress, tried to run, but the Indian was screaming again, reaching for her. Her arm was caught and she was thrown back to the ground. The brave's knife, already deep dark red with the life's blood of so many of the men who had fallen around her, was rising above her breast. Then that powerful voice of command that had stilled the action of the massacre before rang out again. Even as she blinked and gasped for air, Teela saw that the muscled warrior was wrenched from atop her. She didn't dare wonder why. She rolled over, struggled to her knees and to her feet, and started to run again. She wouldn't die without fighting, without trying. Fingers tangled into the length of her hair. She cried out in agony as she was determinedly dragged back. She struggled fiercely, catching hold of her hair, yet not managing to free it from the firm grasp of that large bronzed hand. Even as she tried to kick and flail again, she found herself spun around, plucked up by the waist, and tossed back to the ground. She thought, fighting hysteria, that she was back where she started. No, this was worse, much worse. For this man now straddled her, capturing her wrists, pinning them to the ground high above her head with the use of just one of his wickedly long-fingered hands. She was blinded by the blanket of sun-torched auburn hair that fell in a tangled sheath over her face. Twisting brought the merciless pressure of his thighs closer about her hips. Each gasp for breath, every effort to scream, all but caused her to choke and strangle upon her own hair. Then it was swept from her face. She felt those fingers stroking her cheeks, sweeping away the wild and tangled strands. She opened her mouth to scream, and yet the sound never left her throat. And for shattering moments, still moments, moments in which she could feel or hear nothing but the pounding of her own heart, she stared into the eyes that seemed to pierce into her and through her, pinning her to the ground with every bit as much strength as the arms and legs that held her so fiercely. They were blue eyes, shockingly, vibrantly blue. A blue that could burn cobalt with anger, lighten like a summer's sky with laughter. A blue that had haunted, compelled, fascinated, and drawn her before, perhaps for the very bronze of the face they shone from within. Running Bear. They had a name for him here in the dark green shadows and dangerous rivers of grass in the swamplands. They had a name for him among his people. One that fitted him, one that had become his on the day he had left childhood behind within his tribe and taken the black drink. It was a fitting name for one who would be both fleet and graceful and powerful as well. She knew about him because she had made a point of knowing about him. Her fascination had been complete. Today he was half-naked, clad in doeskin breeches, silver necklaces, hide boots, and nothing more. The fantastic, ripple-muscled strength of his chest and shoulders was plainly visible. He wasn't heavy. She was certain that he would have shared his portion of food with any man, woman, or child of his people in need, but despite that, the raw force used in his expeditions through the land had apparently kept him honed like a razor. And enemy or not, white man, red man, he was an extraordinary example of the male physique. His hair was ebony, but rich, and with a wave that betrayed his white heritage, the same as the majestic blue of his eyes. His face combined his races.